When Tao's dream job abroad became a reality, he thought nothing could stand in his way, not even love. But when his wife cried blood tears and claimed she'd lost their child, he chose to stay. Months later, a single forgotten photo led him to a chilling truth. The baby never died, and he might not be the father. Tao Makosi, a 34-year-old software engineer from Botswana, had finally made it. After years of hard work and long nights, he got a big job offer to lead a tech project in Canada. It was a dream come true, everything he had worked for. Excited, he rushed to tell his wife, Naledi, but something felt off. Naledi had been quiet and distant for weeks. She didn't smile much anymore. Her eyes didn't light up like they used to. When Tao told her about the job, instead of being happy, she broke down in tears and collapsed in his arms. Between sobs, she told him she was pregnant. It was a shocking but joyful moment. A baby, a new life. Suddenly, everything changed. They laughed, they cried. Tao felt like the luckiest man alive. But the happiness didn't last long. Just 2 weeks later, Naledi came to him with red eyes and a shaking voice. She said she had lost the baby, a miscarriage. Tao felt like the ground had disappeared under his feet. Grief hit them like a storm. Naledi barely spoke. Tao didn't know how to help her, but he knew one thing. He couldn't leave her like this. So, even though the Canada job was the opportunity of a lifetime, he made a painful choice. He cancelled everything. He stayed. He told himself that family comes first, that love matters more than success. What he didn't know was that this was only the beginning, and nothing was as it seemed. The couple sinks into a quiet, slow, burning grief. After Naledi said she lost the baby, everything between her and Tao changed. The house felt heavy, like the air was filled with pain. They didn't talk much anymore. They moved around each other like shadows. Naledi stopped smiling. She didn't want to go outside, didn't want to see anyone, not even close friends. At first, Tao thought she just needed time to heal. He tried to be there for her, bringing her tea, holding her when she cried, giving her space when she asked for it. But slowly, her sadness started to look like something else. Naledi began acting in strange ways. She became secretive. Her phone was always in her hand or hidden in her pocket. She never left it on the table like before. If it rang, she would step away quickly to answer it in private. And then there was the bedroom. She started locking it during the day. When Tao asked why, she said she was cleaning or just needed privacy. But the door stayed locked, even when she wasn't in there. That's when Tao started to feel something was wrong, really wrong. He checked their bank account and found money missing, cash withdrawals he didn't recognize. Not once or twice, but often. Late at night, he would hear Naledi on the phone, her voice low and shaky, whispering things he couldn't understand. One night, he woke up and found the bathroom light on. He walked in and saw her sitting on the floor, crying quietly. She looked up at him with red eyes and whispered, "It's not safe yet," before pushing him away and closing the door in his face. Tao stood there, stunned. What wasn't safe? Who was she talking about? The woman he loved was slipping away from him, and he didn't know how to reach her. He wanted to believe she was just grieving, but the way she moved, the secrets she kept, it all felt like more than just pain. It felt like something was being hidden, something big. And now, the sadness between them had turned into tension, fear, and a growing sense of mystery that Tao couldn't ignore anymore. One day, while cleaning the trash, Tao's hand brushed against something unexpected, an old ultrasound image. He froze. The date on the scan was from a week after Naledi had told him she lost the baby. His heart raced. How could this be? Why was the picture hidden in the trash if she said the baby was gone? Confused and scared, Tao felt a storm of emotions crashing inside him. Was she hiding something? Was she lying? Or was she maybe sick in a way he didn't understand? His mind spun with questions he couldn't answer. Afraid to confront her directly, Tao decided to take the ultrasound image to a private clinic. He needed the truth, no matter how painful it might be. At the clinic, the doctor carefully looked at the scan. Then, without hesitation, the doctor said the baby in the picture was healthy. The date matched what was on the image. The baby had been alive and well a full week after Naledi said she lost it. Tao's world started to shake. What was going on? Was Naledi confused, or was she hiding something much darker? Was her mind playing tricks on her, or was she protecting him from a secret he wasn't ready to hear? Tao felt lost. He wanted to believe his wife, but now doubt crept into every thought. He didn't know what to do next. He was afraid that if he asked her about the ultrasound, it would break her more. He loved her too much to cause her pain, but he couldn't live with the unknown either. So, he made a silent promise to himself. He would watch, wait, and find out the truth slowly, without pushing her too hard. He didn't know what secrets Naledi held, but he knew their life had changed forever, and nothing would ever be the same again. Tao couldn't shake the feeling that something was very wrong. The ultrasound picture haunted him day and night. Naledi's strange behavior, the locked door, the crying, the whispers. It all felt like puzzle pieces that didn't fit. So, one evening when she was out, he quietly installed a small security camera just outside their bedroom door. He didn't want to do it, but he needed to know what was happening behind that locked door. For a few days, nothing happened. But then, late one afternoon, he watched the footage and froze. There she was, Naledi, sneaking up to the bedroom door with a small key in her hand. She looked around nervously, then unlocked the door, slipped inside, and quickly locked it behind her. She stayed in there for nearly an hour. Tao watched in silence, his heart pounding. What was she doing in there? Why the secrecy? That night, when Naledi finally fell asleep, Tao made a decision. He couldn't wait any longer. Carefully, he found a set of small tools and picked the bedroom lock. His hands shook as he opened the door. What he saw inside left him cold. The room wasn't empty. In the soft glow of a nightlight, he saw a crib standing near the window. Baby clothes were neatly folded on a chair. A soft teddy bear sat beside a bottle that still looked recently used. There were diapers, blankets, and even a small container of baby formula. But there was no baby, no crying, no sound. Just a room that looked like it was waiting for a child, or like a child had just been there. Tao stood frozen, his mind racing. Was the baby alive? Was Naledi hiding it somewhere? Or was she living in some kind of fantasy, pretending the baby was still real? The questions swirled around him, louder than ever. This was no longer just about grief. It was something deeper, darker. The mystery had grown, and now it was too big to ignore. Tao couldn't hold it in anymore. The crib, the baby clothes, the feeding bottles. It was too much. The pain, the confusion, the fear. It all crashed down on him. That evening, he sat Naledi down and quietly placed one of the baby bottles on the table. Her eyes widened. She froze. For a moment, there was complete silence between them. Then slowly, she broke down. Tears streamed down her face as she whispered, "I lost the baby, but then I found a way to feel whole again." Her voice shook. Tao leaned in, desperate to understand what she meant, but she wouldn't explain further. She just kept crying and saying, "You have to trust me. Don't push me. Please." Tao felt torn. A part of him wanted to hold her, believe her, and just hope for the best. But the other part, the one that had seen the ultrasound, the locked room, the camera footage, knew something wasn't right. He couldn't stop now. That night, when Naledi said she was going out for a walk to clear her head, Tao quietly followed her from a distance. He stayed far enough behind so she wouldn't notice, but close enough to keep his eyes on her. She didn't go to the park or a friend's house like she usually said. Instead, she caught a taxi and travelled all the way to the edge of Gaborone. The area was quiet, old, and run down. Tao watched from across the street as she entered a small apartment building. She walked in without knocking, like she belonged there. Then the door closed behind her. She didn't come out for hours. Tao waited in the dark, his heart racing. What was in that apartment? Who was she visiting? Every minute felt like a year. He had no answers, only more questions. The woman he loved was hiding something big, and now he was closer than ever to finding out the truth. The next morning, Tao couldn't take it anymore. He hadn't slept all night. His mind kept going back to that rundown apartment, the door that closed behind Naledi, and the hours she spent inside. What was she hiding? Who was she visiting? The questions were eating him alive. He waited until she left the house again, then made his way back to the same apartment. His hands trembled as he stood outside the door. With his heart pounding in his chest, he forced the lock open and quietly stepped inside. The small apartment smelled like baby powder and warm milk. He stood still, listening. That's when he heard the soft cooing of a baby from the next room. Slowly he walked in, and what he saw left him frozen. A nanny sat in a chair, rocking a tiny baby boy in her arms. The baby looked around 3 months old. He had light skin, curly hair, and big brown eyes that stared up at Tao curiously. But something inside Tao dropped. The baby looked nothing like him, not even a little. Tao's breath caught in his throat. The nanny looked up, surprised. "Are you the father?" she asked. Tao couldn't answer. She then explained that she had been hired by Madame Naledi to take care of the baby. She was told to stay here full time and never let the father come in, no matter what. Tao's heart sank deeper. He asked if there were any documents, and the nanny showed him the baby's papers. Everything looked official, except one thing. The section for the father's name was completely blank. Tao stared at that empty space, his thoughts spinning out of control. Could it be true? Had Naledi lied about everything? Had she been with someone else during their short time apart? Was this baby the reason she pretended to miscarry? A wave of betrayal, shock, and confusion hit him all at once. He stood there, staring at the baby who might not be his, and for the first time, he truly feared what Naledi had done and why. Tao returned home with his mind in chaos. He had seen the baby, he had heard the nanny's words, and he had stared at that blank space on the birth certificate for too long. Something inside him had snapped. He couldn't stay quiet anymore. That evening, as Naledi came back home, he didn't wait. He stood in front of her and asked with a voice that trembled but was full of fire, "Whose baby is it, Naledi? Tell me the truth, now." Naledi froze, her face pale. She looked at him like a cornered animal, fear, guilt, and panic all mixed in her eyes. Tao pushed again, louder this time, telling her he had seen the child, the nanny, and the empty father's name. Finally, she sat down slowly, shaking, and began to speak. Her voice was soft but heavy. She told him the baby was hers, but not his. Tao felt like the ground beneath him disappeared. Naledi continued, explaining that during their short separation months ago, when things between them weren't good, she had a brief affair with a man named Zuberi. He was a traveling activist, full of passion and energy. It meant nothing, she said. It was a mistake, a moment of weakness. But she found out she was pregnant weeks later, and by then, Zuberi was already gone. Naledi said she panicked. She was scared Tao would never forgive her. She believed he would leave her if he knew the truth, just like her own father left her mother long ago. So, she lied. She told Tao she had lost the baby. She thought the lie would protect them, but as the months passed and the baby arrived, her feelings grew darker. Her fear of losing Tao changed into something else, something deeper and more desperate. She hid the baby, fed the lie, and built a fantasy around it all, hoping it would keep Tao close. As she cried, Tao just stared. Everything he thought he knew about their love was now full of cracks, and in those cracks, painful truth was shining through. He packed a small bag, unsure of where he'd go, but certain he couldn't stay. His heart was broken, his trust crushed. Still, he didn't hate her. The pain was heavy, but something didn't sit right. Her story about Zuberi kept echoing in his mind. Dates, events, little details. Something was off. He couldn't stop thinking about it, no matter how much he tried. Instead of running away, he started searching. Quietly, carefully, he asked around. Zuberi's name led him to old articles, news clips, and a few people who had known him. That's when he found out the shocking truth. Zuberi had died in a protest, weeks before the baby was even born. It didn't make sense. If Zuberi had passed away before the child came into the world, how could he be the father? The thought spun around his head like a storm. He didn't want to believe Naledi had lied again, but now he had to know for sure. He took a small strand of the baby's hair and went to a private clinic. He kept it a secret. Days passed like slow raindrops, each one heavier than the last. When the results came back, Tao stood frozen. The test confirmed the child was his. He sat down, heart pounding. Everything Naledi had told him about the affair, the other man, the reason for the lie, it was all fake. She had made it all up, not because she had cheated, but because she had wanted him to stay. She thought by telling him he wasn't the father, by creating guilt and confusion, she could control him, keep him close, and never be left alone. The truth hurt more than any lie. It wasn't just a betrayal, it was manipulation. She had pretended to lose the baby, then she'd hidden his own child from him, and finally, she created a fake affair just to make sure he'd never feel strong enough to leave. Tao felt a deep sadness. He had been twisted in her fear, trapped in her broken love, and now, everything he believed was love turned into something else, something painful, complicated, and real. Everything made sense now, but not in a way that brought peace. Instead, it made the pain deeper. He looked back at every moment, the night she cried about losing the baby, the strange behavior, the secrets, the lies. All of it was a carefully built web. She had never lost the baby. She had never cheated. She had created those stories to keep him from leaving, to trap his heart with guilt, to stop him from chasing his dream. Now he understood. She had faked the miscarriage because she knew he would cancel the job in Canada. She had told a lie about another man being the father so that he would feel broken, confused, stuck. She had hidden their son, not out of shame or fear, but to punish him, to make him suffer silently, just like she had suffered alone in her own mind. It wasn't just one lie. It was a chain of lies, each one pulling him deeper into sadness. He sat with her, face calm but eyes heavy. She knew. She saw it in his expression. The truth had reached him. She broke down instantly. Her body shook as she cried, louder than he had ever heard. She couldn't hold it in anymore. All the weight of her secrets finally fell from her shoulders. Between sobs, she began to speak. Not lies this time, but real, painful truth. She told him about her childhood, about the day her father left and never came back, how her mother waited by the door every evening, hoping he'd return, how the silence in that house became her normal. She had lived her life fearing that one day someone she loved would walk away, just like he did. And when Tao got the job offer, it felt like history repeating itself. She said she loved him. That's why she lied. That's why she created the false world. She was scared he would choose success over her, over their child, just like her father chose his career over their family. She wasn't trying to hurt him, at least not at first. But fear made her blind. Her need to stay in control made her cruel. And before she knew it, she didn't know how to stop. He listened, quietly, feeling both anger and deep sadness. This wasn't just a woman who lied. This was someone broken inside, drowning in her past. And now finally, she was telling the truth. He took the baby into his arms, feeling a new kind of responsibility settle over him. After everything that had happened, he knew it was time to move forward, for both their sakes. The decision to leave for the job in Canada was no longer just about work. It was about building a future, a fresh start. This time, he would bring his son with him, promising to give the child the love and stability he deserved. She was admitted to a special place to get help, a center where she could face her pain and begin to heal. Though the road ahead would be long and difficult, he didn't shut her out completely. Instead, he wrote letters, sharing his hope and care from afar. He wanted her to know she wasn't forgotten, that recovery was possible, even if their paths had to separate for now. Walking through the snowy streets of a new city, the cold air sharp but clear, he held the baby close. His voice was soft, almost a whisper, carrying a promise. Your mother loved you in her own broken way, but I'll raise you whole. It was a vow filled with pain, hope, and the deep love of a father ready to protect and nurture. Emotional music swelled as everything reached its quiet, powerful end. A journey of loss, secrets, and finally, new beginnings. If you felt every moment of this emotional journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. And don't miss the videos at the end of this one. They'll keep you hooked. Thanks for watching.